kind of like the natural lighting look, but I don't know. I'm just trying something out. Let me try to fix that a little bit. I don't know, maybe it's creepy. 1 second. I'm not even going to pause the video. I'm just gonna, I know it's a little cloudy too, overcast, but let's see if that changes anything. Maybe if I get out of the shadow here, I'm going to pause. I mean, maybe a little bit creepy to some people, but to be fair, I'm probably going to be creepy to some people no matter what, because this video is discussing, I'm autistic, so it's a little off, but nonetheless, in the past, I believe, before one of the two great purges of my channel, which the last one was not by choice. My email got hacked. At least I think it got hacked, and maybe I overreacted, but I deleted everything, and so I'm kind of worried about the state of these videos once I get a new phone eventually, but cross that bridge when I get to it. But the other one was at least my choice at the time, which, included videos from 2017 to mid to late 2020, and then I had a full episode of manic depression where I decided to change my life and deleted it. Whereas the other one, I just was freaking out, and an episode also, I guess you could say, and I deleted it because of that. So I was worried, honestly, I was paranoid about my songs on my SoundCloud getting deleted, and I'm going on a tangent, but yeah, I don't know, for whatever reason, I was just worried that scammers would be petty enough to delete anything once they don't get something. I don't have any money to give. I'm broke, and I don't even have a bank account connected to my phone ever. So anyway, I'm all over the place right now, but let me just center myself. Going through a bit of an OCD spree. I have to over-explain everything because I'm afraid something will get, I don't know, but nonetheless. Topic today is one regarding autism spectrum disorder. More broadly, just the topic of being on the spectrum in general. And I think many people would be surprised to come to learn that they are actually probably on the spectrum themselves, and to some degree we all are. That's the whole thing. But I guess within the little narrow little slice that contains, and it's not really left to right, it's all directions, but for the sake of this video, this narrow little slice to the left or right or have you, to where they're perceived normal by most people, but probably are off in certain ways. And in general, if you find yourself in that crowd, I mean, you're in company. I don't know good company, but if you find me good company, I'm glad. But there's still, nonetheless, many people who are probably on the spectrum throughout history that are influential. So you are in good company. And one thing I will say, and this is regarding very basic situational issues. I'm not a psychologist for one thing. So I'm not here to provide you some greater thesis regarding why or how or what is going on in any of these scenarios. I'm just going by my own experience as well as what my friends who often are on the spectrum as well have informed me and I've seen from them. So pretty much all I can go by, honestly. That is, it's simple, and I'm sure to some degree most of you, if not all of you, understand this concept, but I think reinforcement is still nonetheless good, especially if you're younger, like below the age of like 21, which is where you kind of start assimilating more of these things. When in public, that is at a restaurant or at a park, at a coffee shop, like I talked about in the last video, at anywhere like in that kind of thing, even walking outside to some degree, you go by what you know, fundamentally, socially, more so than what you feel. When in private company, with your friends, what have you, you still don't, you still keep in mind what you know. And you have to always, but go by more what you feel. And those things work in tandem. So the more you can feel out things privately, the more you can know publicly, and even to some degree, the more things you pick up by being restrained and to some degree stoic in public, the more adaptable you also are in private as well, because you just come to notice people's reaction to you either way in different ways. And you just don't make assumptions based on that. Try to presume to some degree where people stand due to that and work within that. It's simple, I know. And I'm sure a lot of people watching this on the spectrum or not will be saying like, oh, I'm not saying anything I don't already know, and I don't doubt that. And there's a good chance a lot of people don't need this video. But for that one person who may know this to some degree, but just is a little bit uncertain on the bear tax, this video is for you. And in any case, whenever you, in any situation, if you ever, in any situation, have a feeling that you're doing something wrong, stop doing it. It's as simple as that. Like I should have, last video I talked about, I got stressed. Two teenagers were gossiping, talking about my glasses, talking about my hair, and I was getting stressed and hyperventilating almost, and no, that's not fun for anybody. I should have found a way to stop doing it, whether just stopping it and ignoring them or getting out of the situation, because I'm an adult. And yeah, that's in general. I'm perseverating on that because I'm kind of OCD right now, but a lot of things I'm perseverating on, but to talk about all of them would make this video 7 hours long, and even if anybody could sit that long and listen to me ramble, I don't have the phone for that. The storage would run out very quickly. But nonetheless, in any case, give you an example scenario, hypothetical. Let's say you're in a kind of gray area, like we're at a bar. I think that's the most gray area I can think of, because on one hand, you're out with your friends, and it's kind of supposed to be an open environment. It's very, when bartenders usually are friendly, and to some degree, depending upon where you are, people, can be friendly at the bar. You get a feel for that if you can, and talk to the people that seem less to themselves and socialize. But you always gotta, again, to some degree, still go with more of what you know, what you feel. Especially, actually, in this case, because you're drinking. So your judgment is going to be impaired based on what you feel, especially. So the more you drink, the more you have to be cautious. Like, you could upset people because they're also drinking. It's a whole bag of beans, and it's a gray area. So also, to some degree, you don't want to be too stodgy and to yourself, because then you kind of ruin the vibe for everyone else. So you kind of have to, if you do go to such a scenario, and I don't honestly go to bars that much, but I used to when I had friends in the city, because it was a bit of a different thing there. But the city, I mean Manhattan. But now I just don't, because I just don't like it. But nonetheless, I mean, you just feel it out. But you feel it out, but still go with what you know in that case. Like, you kind of have go fundamentally with what you feel and what you know in that scenario. It's a tricky balance, and I would just say anything goes wrong in that case, you just overreact. You overreact. Not overreact externally, overreact internally. Because you don't want things to go wrong in that case, because you don't know what's going to happen in those case scenarios. So if anything happens in that case scenario, you make a joke and someone takes it the wrong way, or someone upsets you even, you just find a way to just be like, look, I'm sorry, I have to go, whatever. You either make up an excuse if you can make up a reasonable excuse, or just be honest, but not too honest. And there's other gray areas. Family reunions. Generally speaking, if you live in a healthy, immediate family relationship, and not all of us do, but if you do, when you're around them, you can be reasonably open. Maybe not quite as open as you can be with a close friend, but maybe even more so. Different cultures, different people, different. It's complicated, whatever. But even if generally you're comfortable around your immediate family and you can pretty much speak your mind, it's a good chance your overarching family, for lack of a better term right now, indigestion, sorry. I should not have eaten 3 slices of pizza at noon, but it was left over. What was I going to do? But you generally have to, you know, be a bit more private in that case. It's like not quite as private as you do in ultra private scenarios, obviously. But the wider the scope in general, the more one you don't know where everyone stands and everything. You can't read the room as well. So parties, for instance, are also, which is a good big reason I don't like going to parties, but because so many other things, and not that I get invited to many anyway, but um, yeah, what's it saying? The wider the scope, the more things can be misconstrued. More like you've heard of telephone, things can go grapevine, and in general, you just have to be cautious. You can still say like things you wouldn't say in complete privacy, like in complete public, rather. I think I might have been mixing those terms before, but whatever. Like I don't know. You could say. Trying to think of an example. Oh, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example. I'm coming up blank. But there are certain things. Maybe something will come to me. But in general, you have to be cautious, and especially if there are competing belief systems involved. Either you're secular and your wider family, or even your immediate family isn't, or vice versa. You have to be cautious about that. So many things you have to be cautious about. And I guess I'm really speaking to, and I don't know why, because I curse so much in these videos. I mean, there's a small chance that this is going to be recommended to anybody uh, below the age of like 18, I guess. But I'm really, nonetheless, trying to speak to people between the ages of like 14 and 20. Well, I say 20 because I didn't really start grasping anything at all like that beyond very rigid rules about social customs and everything until that age myself. But given that I'm still a work in progress. In any case, I think we have to just, you have to rather in these cases, use judgment but don't rely on it, is what I'd say. And there's going to be times when you majorly fuck up. I'm sorry. Basically just confirmed it's not going to get recommended to kids. But I don't know. I mean, maybe someone will get the idea and make another video. I mean, I'm not doing this for vanity purposes. You're welcome to make a video. If you do a more child-friendly version, I'd be happy, because I'm just trying to get a word out on these things. But in any case, you have to use judgment, but not rely on it. And you'll, as I said, I might as well say it again, you'll fuck up. Maybe. I'd say you'll probably, if you're like me, you'll fuck up majorly about once a month, maybe twice a month. And you'll fuck up in a minor way at least every other day, if not once a day. Some days you'll fuck up in a minor way, maybe 15 something times or more. You may even fuck up a lot, majorly one day. Things build upon each other, and there are also those bad days that happen, you know? Things on a discrete scale are unlikely to happen, but things over the course of a lifetime will happen even if there's a seemingly small percentage of chance. That's just statistics. So there will be days where things just go wrong. That's not even unique to people on the spectrum. It may happen more, and maybe it happens a little bit worse when it happens often with us. But it's not unique. There are misunderstandings every day. You just have to find ways of coping with it, for one thing, and through coping with it, calming yourself in those situations. To not, overreact internally. That's what I say. Overreact internally, if you can. Like, always look for ways out. It's like driving. And honestly, I think everything is like driving. I kind of feel like driving is the perfect, image for anything. But, I mean, if you're not driving, basically, the one of the biggest things that you learn after you learn the basics, like, obviously use your blinkers rather, and use your wipers if there's rain. Check your blind spots. Find out where your blind spots are when you first get the car. See where. Adjust your mirrors. All of that stuff. Bunch of other stuff. One of the major things you'll learn is always look for an out. Always be aware of outs. And don't rush to them necessarily, but if there's a scenario, overreact. Someone's getting a little close, and you have, if someone's getting close enough towards you on the left lane or whatever, if there's a shoulder, go for it. If there's not a shoulder and you have room to go up and not ram into the person in front of you, and not be so close that they'll have to stop harsh, and you'll ram into them anyway, if there's anything. You do that, you go up, and if you can't do either, be cautious and try to move as far away and beep. Always look for outs. Find your outs. There will almost always be some out, at least to some degree. You can't always avoid them, but even by beeping your horn, if a person goes into you, at least maybe it won't be so bad that, it'll be a catastrophe and people hear the horn around you, they'll see. Like, there will be preventatives in place, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. It's the same thing in social settings. Anything goes wrong. Minor things you pay no mind to, like if you notice someone just being an ass, not even quite an asshole, but just being an ass, you pay no mind. If you notice if someone's, just making side remarks, if you can handle that, pay no mind. If you say something somewhat assholery, but people don't take it that bad, just pay no mind to yourself and all these things. But if misunderstandings lead to disputes, and disputes are leading towards complete disruption, get out of there if you can, or diffuse the situation if you can. And if you can't do either of those things, just be completely honest. And people, on average, understand honesty if it's sincere. And even if one person doesn't, chances are someone will. So it's not like you'll be completely out in the open if people get angry with you for at the bar, saying a comment like, I don't know, let's say there's I don't know, German flag, and you, I don't know, make fun of the color. I don't know. I'm not good at thinking about these things on the spot because it's like a German pub or something, and you just make a joke, and it turns out that this guy is, his father or grandfather came from Germany, and he's really proud of his heritage, and it just becomes the whole thing. First thing you try to do is diffuse the situation mildly, maybe, making a self-deprecating joke, such as, sorry, I don't know why my phone is, okay, I don't know, saying, oh, sorry, I don't know, like, if you're, I don't know, you just make a joke, and if that doesn't read, you'd be like, yeah, I'm sorry, I screwed up, should have been more sensitive, that's on me, sorry, I'm happy that people in the United States can be so proud of their heritage and still be American. It's a great place to live, and Germany's great too. There's great cars. I think Porsche, if I'm wrong, but anything, like, you find a way out of the situation without hurting anyone involved, hopefully, because to some degree you have to go by feel, and because you're autistic or on the spectrum, you might not always have the tact to know in scenarios what is wrong to say, and if you solely go completely by what you know, you'll just be seen as a creep anyway, because you're robotic and not saying anything harmful, which is not saying anything sociable, which is where I was pre-21, pre-23, around that age, before my friends took me under their wing, and I would just go out and be very detached and try to make conversation, like, oh, what's the time? Oh, who's running for president? Oh, and it's just either people think you're on drugs, they think you're really, 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 really weird, or they think so. It's not an answer either. You kind of have to take some social risks, I'd say, but not unreasonable social risks. And I'm not saying everyone is acting like that. That's an extreme, and I'm even exaggerating to some degree what I was like, I think. At least I hope. But still, nonetheless, you have to take some social risks, I'd say, and get out there. And if you're in, people will understand if you're honest for the most part, and people will generally, for the most part, understand if you apply some tact to some degree. You don't go too overboard. And those that will overreact to the utmost degree, I mean, I've seen it before. People will come in and defend you, especially if you're in a nice community, which I hope most of you are. But if your community itself isn't that nice, I'd suggest if you can make it to somewhere nicer, beg your parents to drive you out town one day to a friendlier community and spend the time there because people are nicer. I don't know. I'm kind of running low on thoughts, but in any case, most places, most people will understand in most places, rather, if you apply some tact. You don't have to apply the utmost tact, but just a bit of tact.